From the BBC World Service, in association with ABC and Akashvani, this is Stumped.
Hello and welcome to Stumped, your intercontinental hit of news, features and debate from the quirky world of cricket. I'm Eleanor Oldroyd in grey and drizzly London, where it's just starting to feel a little bit spring-like, and the Champions Trophy is upon us already and it comes at you thick and fast. So we'll get into that a little bit. But yeah, looking forward to watching a bit of cricket eventually in this country when the seasons turn, Jim, and your autumn turns into winter and our spring turns into summer.
It's always summer here, always summer. The Sheffield Shield continues towards a very good finish. There's something called the Champions Trophy on, but no one really cares much about that at the moment here because they reckon the Australian team's playing so badly without their star players. But we might start to take notice of the BBC commentary we're getting if Australia can win, but they've got to get past England, South Africa and Afghanistan. I'm not sure how well they'll go, but the cricket season just keeps going on.
Well, there's certainly a little more interest in the Champions Trophy here in India. I'm Charu Sharma for Akashvani in Kutta, Coorg, the coffee-going district of India, where the good news for the planters, and we're here at the estate because picking is going on, is that the coffee prices are booming, which of course is not so good news for the consumers. A lot of attention on the Champions Trophy, and of course the Women's Premier League is going on in India, so the women too are under the spotlight.
Well, we've got lots to get into in the show today. Coming up, we'll be hearing from South Africa's captain, Temba Bavuma. But first, as we've all said, the Champions Trophy is now well underway, with the hosts Pakistan suffering a big 60-run defeat to New Zealand. Now, it's the first ICC global event in Pakistan since 1996 due to safety concerns after a terrorist attack in 2009. And on last week's show, we spoke about the pressure on the host nation. But Jim, I mean, it was a bit of a whimper, really, wasn't it, for Pakistan with all the hype that's been surrounding them?
Pakistan are perennially mercurial, spasmodic, erratic, whatever you want to call them. And they didn't quite turn up as they needed to. And New Zealand are a pretty good side once they've got their mind on what they're about. They're a very harmonious group and they can play, as they showed, some very good cricket. And after a slow start, they made too many for Pakistan. So keep your eye on New Zealand. I mean, it's basically a knockout tournament, it seems to me. You only get 3 bites of the cherry and then you're into the semi-finals. So if you drop 1 game, you might be in trouble. 2, you're gone. And Pakistan could be struggling, even at home, to make it to the semi-finals.
Well, I mean, the people who are able to see it will see England, Afghanistan, Australia and also South Africa in one group, and they're being led, South Africa, by their influential captain Temba Bavuma. Now, you may remember a few weeks ago on Stumped, we were joined by the South Africa head coach Shuki Conrad, and he spoke to us a lot about the influence of their captain. So let's hear from the man himself. BBC South Africa reporter Eshlin Vidan has been to see Bavuma, and asked him why cricket is so important to him.
So, I mean, cricket was always something that featured in my life. Sport, just in general, was something. I played pretty much anything that had to do with the ball. But cricket, I guess, later on in my development years, kind of took over. I always had the passion for the game. I always wanted to see myself competing against other players, against the best wherever I was. And you know, I was fortunate enough that I've been able to get to this point. A lot of work went into it. I was fortunate that I had a good support system behind me, who, I guess, supported me along the way.
And you were coming up the ranks at a very different time in South African history. And at that time when you were growing up, a lot of guys like, for example, Hashim Amla and Alviro Peterson would have been making their way into the Proteas ranks. And these players have spoken about hurdles which they initially faced in terms of having to prove themselves. So when you were coming up the ranks, did you face any similar challenges to what they had faced?
Yeah, I mean, the element of proving yourself is, I guess, that was always there. I think there was always the thought that you had to be better than the other person next to you, and you had to do a lot more than the other person. You know, from a role model point of view, guys like Hashim Amla, guys that we looked up to, guys like Ashwell Prince, those are guys that we looked up to. From an international point of view, I try to model my game around a guy like Sachin Tendulkar, and I guess the older you are, the more you appreciate how he was still able to perform the way that he did, considering all the pressure and expectation that he would have encountered coming from a nation like India.
You were the first black African batter to get a sustained run in the Proteas team. So can you talk about the importance of that? And do you think that it will make it easier for future generations of black African batters to settle into the team? Because, for example, you never had others that had a sustained run in the team.
Yeah, I definitely hope that, I guess, the journey that I've been through, the challenges, the upside of it, it will make it easier for those guys coming through. I think for me, I was the first in many ways. Like you said, first black African, then I was a batsman, first black African batter, then I was also the captain. So, I mean, a lot of the things were not, I guess it wasn't what we were used to, and I guess maybe you can ask the question whether we were prepared for it as a cricketing system in South Africa. But I think, having seen me get to the point that I have, 10 years international cricket, I do think, it'll make it easier for those guys. I think when they see the black African batter, they can see just a batter and not someone who's there for other reasons than his ability to hit a cricket ball. So yeah, I do hope those can be learnings from my own experiences and my journey, and it can shift those mindsets that exist out there.
And also in the past season, one of the interesting things that happened to the Proteas is they finally overcame quote-unquote semi-final curses. Do you think that if the Proteas win the World Test Championship final against Australia, which is not going to be an easy game, the floodgates are going to open in terms of winning trophies?
We've always felt as players we're close, to be honest. If you look at this group, maybe not so much the Test team, but the white ball team, the T20, one-day side. It's a group of guys who've been playing with each other since just before COVID. So, like the bonds are strong within the team, and we've always felt that we've been playing well, just at times just not well enough. A lot of us weren't surprised that the guys got to the final in the T20 World Cup. A lot of us weren't surprised that we got to the semi-final in the 2023 50 over World Cup. We weren't given a chance there, and I think we exceeded a lot of expectations from there. So now we're in the final, we're in another final, we have another opportunity. For us, it's almost like it's got to happen at some point. There's too much talent, there's too much ability, there's too much don't give up attitude within the group that exists, that at some point it has to happen. Hopefully it's now, this year, but if it's not now, next year, it could be next year, or it could be the next batch of guys, your Brevises, your Kwena Mapaka, who are coming through now. But at some point, it's got to happen, right?
Well, that was the South Africa captain, Temba Bavuma there. Charu, he comes across as a very calming presence, doesn't he? What makes him such a good captain, do you think, for the Proteas?
To have somebody calm, in control, if I can use the term statesman-like, where you have to manage all sorts of egos. These days, cricketers play around the world. They're super egos, and then of course to tolerate, to look after the balance of black and white in South Africa as well. He's done phenomenally well, and I'm so glad that he will become a beacon for many other black South Africans to follow. Hopefully, not just as batsmen, but in terms of leadership qualities, of the equanimity, just the calmness that he offers on the field all the time. Full marks. And it hasn't been easy, and it can't be easy for him, but he's done extraordinarily well.
And Jim, it doesn't seem that long since we were talking about, the kind of real crisis in South African cricket when it came to the national team, that this focus on franchise cricket as well. But, as he said, they did really well in the 50 over World Cup. You can't discount them in the Champions Trophy. And once that's over, they're going to be turning their attention to the World Test Championship final, which I don't think anybody would have predicted that they would be there to face Australia. I hesitate to say this to you. Could this be their moment to win an ICC trophy at last?
New Zealand beat India in the first one, so who knows? I mean, if they get the run of the conditions and their bowlers do their best, they've got a very impressive bowling attack when they're in rhythm. I think their batting's going to be the problem against the best Australian bowling, assuming it's there. Australia's discipline with the ball is one of the hardest things for teams to overcome. Whether or not they're going to be properly prepared for the final, we'll see. But at this point, yeah, it's an even money bet, and it'd be a wonderful thing for the game in many ways if South Africa turned up and put in a huge performance and took the mace, won the trophy. That would be wonderful for the immediate future of Test cricket, and it may ensure that South Africa actually play a few more Test matches in the next cycle of the WTC.
Well, next on Stumped, Australian leg spinner Alana King has been writing her own headlines as the queen of spin after her Ashes exploits. She picked up 23 wickets in the series. But what may have gone under the radar is her flourishing capability with the bat. Now, someone who King credits as having a large influence over her career is former Sydney Thunder and Italy player Carl Sandri. He coached King during her club career in Melbourne, and he joins us now on Stumped. Great to have you with us, Carl.
Great to be here. Thanks, everyone, for having me. And it's great to be talking about a player who's going so well at the moment.
Well, Carl, we'll talk a bit about your career in a moment, but let's start with Alana. I mean, what first made you realise what a talented cricketer she is?
Well, when we first sort of linked up, as you mentioned, on the grade scene, I think it was around 2014, 2015 now. And Kingy herself was very aspirational at the time, and she ripped these big leggies, as we're all starting to see more and more on the international stage. But she was really keen to lift the other areas of her game, which, you know, her batting and fielding, which were going a little bit under the radar. So, yeah, when we started to link up around the time that I was getting into women's cricket and coaching women's cricket myself, it was just sort of timing for us both. Our personalities kind of clicked and suited, and we just ended up spending a lot of time around cricket together, talking cricket as us cricket people do. And from there, we got down on the tools and started doing a lot more work on her game, I guess, which at that stage was a lot of batting and fielding. And I mean, her leg spinners were looking after themselves and have since developed again. But yeah, I guess just two like-minded people wanting to improve their games. And as you say, sometimes life's about timing, and we just, you know, met each other at the right time as her game was coming up, and I was sort of starting the coaching journey, and I guess ever since we've been linked up since then. So yeah, I guess that's how it started, and that's how it kind of has taken place since then. And yeah, to this day, we're still obviously very close. She's busy around the world, as we'll no doubt get to, but yeah, we're still always on the phones and so forth talking, or as soon as she's in Melbourne, we're trying our best to fit in having a hit and having a field, which is always high on our priority list.
And I mentioned her batting, and I wanted to talk to you about the influence of baseball on her, because she played it, I think, didn't she, at college, and you noticed that she seemed to have a bit of a baseball batting stance.
Yeah, she definitely has a bit of a swing to, I think a lot of the commentators around the world refer to it as King's Corner. She doesn't mind feeding the leg side when she's going well. So she had a tennis background as well and played a bit of baseball. So, you know, I've got a lot of friends that have worked in baseball in America and so forth, and noticed there was some similarities with her swing there. So we thought if we can unlock her strengths a bit more and let her play to her strengths, I guess, versus some other players that may play more traditionally and so forth. I mean, when she hits the ball, especially in the landscape of the modern game, she hits it cleanly and hard, and we just thought, well, let's build on what she can already do. And again, I suppose build her swing and her batting around that aggressive, hard striking play, which, you know, making an impact on the game, being a sort of middle order or lower middle order batter with her leg spin as a number one skill. I just thought it could really add something to her game, and I think it has over the years, and it served her well.
A bit on Annabelle Sutherland. You're also her private coach and mentor. What's it like working with her? You seem to have done a pretty good job there.
Yeah, it's been a lot of hard work and a lot of balls thrown there to Annabelle. She does love having a hit, so it keeps me very, very busy when in Melbourne. So again, I guess the same time that we all sort of linked up, I guess, and again, our cricket relationship from when she first started her club cricket at Paran Cricket Club, and since then, in the thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of balls thrown to Belzy. And again, she's just someone that wants to do so well that never leaves any stone unturned in her preparation. And if she has tournaments coming up, she will, make the effort to get the volume in and improve her game. One-day cricket, T20, Test cricket. She's pretty passionate about her batting and wants to be the best. So we train pretty hard, and I guess she's seeing the rewards of all that hard work and ball striking now.
Well, Carl, I wonder how you adapt to the two, because you obviously coach, mentor teams as well as individuals. Now, to my mind, individual coaching was sort of an earlier stage, and it's much more team coaching now. But how do you straddle those two worlds, and which do you enjoy more?
Yeah, that's something I had to look at when I started getting into coaching more of the team space versus being an individual mentor or performance coach to players themselves. You definitely, as the game's evolved, you're becoming much more of a people manager as a head coach. And I do like to be on the tools and throwing balls and improving plays like that. But in a head coach role, you've got to have more people that do those sort of jobs for you, and you have other responsibilities to focus on. Yes, you can still get on the tools, but I had good people like Chatty Sayers from South Australia as my bowling coach when I was with PNG, and you can rely a lot on them to do a lot of that work for you while you have a bigger vision on the rest of the team. And there's a lot of organising that goes into things when you're the head coach versus having done either, as you mentioned, private coaching or assistant coaching. It's more on the tools, and you can work with the players, and that's your focus. So I've enjoyed having, a hand in both camps, and I like them just as much, I guess. But you see rewards both ways. When the team wins when you're the head coach, it's great to see. But on the same hand, you've got when Annabelle makes a double 100 in a test or 100 in an Ashes test, and Alana King's getting her name etched on the board at the MCG. To have those two players both get their names on the board at the MCG last month is also, as a personal coach, it's pretty good to see.
Well, we can tell you take pride in it, Carl, and you definitely should. I mean, incredible performances, as you've mentioned, from those two players in particular. But it's really great to talk to you, and thank you so much for joining us on Stumped.
Thanks, everyone.
Well, that's all we've got time for on this week's Stumped. My thanks to Jim Maxwell, Charu Sharma, and to all of you for listening, of course. We'll speak to you next week. Goodbye.